Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome, guys. Okay, so let me know if you guys can hear, if the sound's working properly, and let me know if it's in sync as well. I just want to see if the sound is in sync with you. So, guys, my name is Liaquat. If you haven't been on one of these videos before, we answer questions here. So details of how to ask the questions should be in the bar below, and hopefully you guys should be able to see that one. Okay, so let's get this sorted. Okay. Right. Let's start then. Oh, there's a lot of thunder today outside. I don't know if you guys have thunder where you guys are. Umar Shahid, mashallah, alaikum assalam. Amsterdam, ahlan wa sahlan. Idris Shah, alhamdulillah. Very well, thank you very much. Yeah, I was going to ask Idris, I haven't seen you for a while. How's things down your end? Fahim, ahlan wa sahlan. Fahim, Zara, wa alaikum assalam, rahmatullah. Alhamdulillah. Okay, so let's start then. So we are going to start with the curious cat questions. Let's check them out. Right, so let's see what the questions are today. Question started. Alright, so Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Right, so the first question we have. Assalamu alaikum, Ustad. I missed your live session. It's 1 a.m. my time, and I wasn't able to get up. Please answer my question. I have heard that it's not allowed to use gold and silver utensils such that the gold or silver touches your lips. Is this true? Yes, according to the scholars, the Prophet ﷺ has prohibited the usage of gold and silver for such uses like utensils, spoons, plates, cups. So using gold is in there is not permissible. What they do permit is gold plated and silver plated is permissible. Yeah, so that doesn't fall under the prohibition. And you have something which is where if you have a cracked pot in the past, they used to fill it with gold or silver. It's even a tradition in Japanese culture as well. I forgot what it's called, wagsu or wigsu. I don't know. I'm probably saying it wrong as well. So it's basically this process of putting gold. So that you can use that, but it's best to avoid touching your lips with the gold. Second question, is it allowed to eat the silver sheet called waraq, which is put on desi sweets, the thin silver lining put on desi mithai? It's made from real silver, as that would be putting on one. So yes, so that would be allowed. The scholars say it's so minuscule, right? So therefore they permit that. Yeah, that's permitted because the prohibition of the cups and utensils is out of arrogance. So this was like utensils of the rich and famous, and in the early days. So they would kind of like prohibit this. The person prohibits it because of arrogance. So yeah, that's allowed. Okay. Assalamu alaikum. An ingredient in an item I bought contains spirit vinegar and white wine vinegar. What is the ruling on this? Yes. So all vinegars are all permissible according to the Hanafi school. Right. So all vinegars are fine. I had a question regarding the hadith that mentions for someone who drinks alcohol that his prayer will not be accepted for 40 days. I was doing some Googling and it mentioned that by not being accepted, it refers to the reward being null rather than the individual having to make up qada 40 days. Is this correct? Yes, that's correct. Also, does this rule apply for any other intoxicants such as cannabis, etc.? So the hadith mentions specifically about alcohol. So we stick to alcohol. When it comes to rewards and punishments, we don't extend them. We don't do basically qiyas, like we don't extend them and do analogy onto other things. Yeah, that's a kind of a rule across the board. So yes, it would be permissible to use intoxicants, right, to consume other intoxicants, without a doubt. But there's nothing explicit that has come in the hadith to show that this is the the ruling for the 40-day salat thing. Okay, Jazakallah khair. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope you have a wonderful day as well. Alright, let's check out some of your questions. So Umar Shahid, I have a question. Is it allowed to work in a supermarket where alcohol is sold if you can't find any other job? So if it's a shop in which there is only alcohol being sold, purely just alcohol, nothing else being sold, then no. Right, you should avoid that job unless there is absolutely no other job that you can find. You've tried your best and it's really affecting your life. Then in that case, then it would be permissible. But otherwise, it would not be allowed. Right. So, but if the shop was selling other items, so like for example, it's like a large supermarket, and they sell, majority of the things that they sell are permitted, but they also sell pork maybe, or maybe they sell alcohol, then according to many scholars that would be allowed. Yeah, so that would be considered to be permissible to work in. And Mufti Taqi Uthmani has also written about this as well when he answered questions that were given to him from the West. Right, they were like, so he's got a book called, in Urdu it's called Fiqh Maqalat, and in Arabic it's called Al-Buhuth Al-Fiqhiyah. Okay, next. Fahim, to what extent can one celebrate birthdays, e.g. cakes, candles, bringing family together, prayers, decorations, easy? Is there any harm in celebrating birthdays? What if people start to look forward to birthdays more than Eid? So when it comes to birthdays, there is no prohibition with regards to celebrating birthdays in the Quran, nor is there any prohibition of celebrating birthdays in the hadith, nor in the days of the Sahaba. Some people raise the question that isn't it imitating the practice of other people, right? So it's not necessarily other faiths. Birthdays are not considered to be something specific to another faith. It's just a general practice that many non-Muslims do. So then the question would be raised, to what extent can we do things that non-Muslims do? Right, so this would be something, this kind of practice would be something that would come under just general things that are considered to be normal practices of the community. So for instance, like, maybe in your society you might have, let's say, I don't know, Thanksgiving, or you might have bank holidays, or you might have summer holidays, and people go on holiday, and so are you allowed to go on holiday because they go on holiday? Stuff like that. So these are all considered to be things that are permissible. So the only thing I would say in birthdays, so birthdays are permissible to celebrate. The only thing I would say to be cautious of is that in the birthday, do not show extravagance. So a lot of people, for example, like to show a form of extravagance, they would go around maybe just showing off how much they're spending on the birthday. These kind of things are just in general prohibited, and because they kind of like occur in birthdays, unfortunately, and sort of celebrations in a similar sort of fashion. So that's why I would say those you should be careful of those. As for having birthdays, having a cake, again, nothing wrong with having a cake. Having candles, nothing wrong with having candles. Prayers, I mean, if it's Islamic prayers, then it's excellent, very good. Decorations, nothing wrong with decorations, these kind of things, as long as, like I said, that there is no extravagance involved there. So birthdays would be considered to be permissible in that sense, right? So there wouldn't be any issue in the birthdays. Yes, like I said, those of the scholars and those people who say birthdays are not permitted, they are basing it upon things like the idea of imitating, and they prefer not to imitate. That's what they prefer. And otherwise, things like, for example, national days, people celebrating National Day, Independence Days, or anything of that, they're totally fine because they're not religiously motivated. MashaAllah, Bima Bays, Ahlan wa Sahlan, MashaAllah, Bima Bays, Jazakallah khair for your donation. May Allah reward you and Ayyan and your family from inside the car munching on Max Burgers. Allahu Akbar. Allah, enjoying the... Is it thundering down there? Is it thundering down London sides? MashaAllah, Jazakallah khair. Bima Bays. Excellent, Jazakallah khair. Yeah, so what if a person looks forward to birthdays more than Eid? I mean, that kind of question can be applied to anything. What if a person looks forward to summer holidays more than Eid? What if a person looks forward to the weekend more than Eid? Some people don't even look forward to Eid anymore. So the idea is that, I mean, Eid does not have to be the most celebrated day in the year. Like Islamically, we don't have to believe that Eid is the most celebrated day in the year. Your wedding, someone gets married, someone looks forward to their wedding. So the idea is that the 2 days of Eid, the Prophet ﷺ, he prohibited making other celebration Eids, as in the Prophet ﷺ is prohibiting anyone believing that Allah has legislated another day. So as long as you don't believe that birthdays are legislated by Allah for you, have to celebrate them, or Independence Day is something you have to celebrate, then it's fine. So when we say there is only 2 Eids in Islam, we mean there are only 2 Eids that have been legislated by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yeah, so okay. MU786, Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. How are you, sir? I'm very good, thank you very much. Is the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam alive? As I have been told, he responds to the salams upon him. Yes, so scholars mention that when it comes to all prophets, according to Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, we believe all prophets are alive. What exact state is their life? That's something which the scholars discuss. But yes, the prophets are alive. Like Allah mentions about the shuhada, the shaheeds in the Quran, those who are martyred. Allah says, don't say they're dead, they are alive, but you just don't realize. And the responding of the salam is something which comes in hadith as well. Okay, Arnaud, can you carry gold and silver on walls or use them as decorations? Yes, definitely. You can use them. Yeah. These kind of things can be used. However, like I said earlier on, decorating and these kind of things, if it's done in an extravagant way, where people are showing off with this, then this is something which is prohibited by the Sharia. Sufyan, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Ahlan wa sahlan. Is it thundering up north? Okay. Arnaut, is it permissible to read from a mushaf which its cover is made of silver? Yes. So in fact, the early Muslims, what they used to do, they actually used to use gold to write certain parts of the Quran. So sometimes like when a chapter starts and you have the chapter name and Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, they used actually, many of them, if you look at the old sort of like antique Qurans, you can see in them Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim is written with gold or maybe with silver or something of that sort. Yeah, so it's permissible to do that. Like I said, the prohibition in the hadith is to do with utensils, like eating from them, eating utensils. Fahim, just to clarify, Ustad, would inviting a reasonable number of family friends over for birthdays no, that would be fine. I mean, would inviting a reasonable number of friends for Eid, would that be a problem? Yeah, would inviting a reasonable number of people to your graduation, would that be a problem? Would inviting a reasonable number of friends, for a barbecue, would that be a problem? Same thing. Basically, birthdays are like barbecues. Consider birthdays like barbecues. So the things that you would do in a barbecue, you can do in a birthday. Okay. Salam. I saw my aunt who passed away last month in a dream. She was in her grave. Her eyes were closed and then she turned over to her side. She was wearing a thin gold necklace which really stood out to me. After reporting this to my family, I was told my late aunt's son had a dream that she saw my aunt wearing a lot of gold jewelry, and she told him she bought it all. She bought it all herself. I wanted to know if there's any significance to this dream. When it comes to dream interpretation, one thing that you guys need to know, and I always stress this, is that dreams are very unique to each individual, right? So significant meanings in dreams, or the significance of the meanings of dreams can differ from person to person. Like, for example, like when the dream was seen, who was it seen by, what kind of problems was this person going through, the person who has passed away, what kind of lifestyle were they living, how did they pass away. There's so many sort of like aspects to this. As well, personally, I don't really kind of enjoy interpreting dreams, because I have to kind of go through so many sort of like questions, and then it's not really important to have your dream interpreted all the time. But generally, if you see someone who has passed away, this is like a generic sort of thing that you guys can use yourselves. If a person passes away, and you see them in your dream and they're in a good, happy state, that's a very good sign. Just remember that it's a very good sign that they're in the qabr or in the hereafter. That it's a very good sign for them. We can't 100% say that they're having a good time, but it's a very good sort of like good omen, you can say. Okay. Assalamu alaikum Ustad. I am quite a hairy individual. Alhamdulillah, my beard sort of connects to my eyebrows. Allah. I was wondering, what's the ruling for men on what is permissible to shave, trim, or the beard on the upper part of the face to make it more neat? Also, what's the ruling on things like unibrows, chest hair, back hair? Okay, so let me explain a bit of this. So when it comes to male hair sort of grooming, the thing you remember is this, right? Any sort of hairstyle is permissible, right? As long as it's not considered to be something which is ugly in the society, right? So any sort of hairstyle is permissible as long as it's not looked frowned upon in the society by the average person, nor does it resemble something specific to another religion, right? So that's the first thing. Secondly, when it comes to eyebrows, men are allowed to trim their eyebrows, and they're allowed to remove the middle of the eyebrows, totally permissible. And when it comes to facial hair, beards, then there's an ikhtilaf in the size of the beard you can keep, but all the hair, so if you were to do this, yeah, like, some people take selfies and do this. So you do this, and all this, anything above that, you can remove. Anything above that, all the cheek, you can remove all that, all of that, all that. And the sides, you can like make the sides neat, right? You can neaten the sides. And under the neck, you can clean all this part on the neck. That's permissible as well. Mustache, you can clean if you like. As for body hair, the rest of the body hair, it's permissible to remove all body hair if it's something in the society that's done. Yeah, so if it's something in the society that's a norm in the society, you can remove it. Okay, next. Let's check out the questions here. Right, Assalamu alaikum Kazmataz. Hope you're well. I listen to beats without no lyrics. Should I avoid? I need it to concentrate while studying. Shall I stick to white noise? Yeah, I think you'll get away with it. That kind of stuff shouldn't be like an issue there. But like I said, I mean, I mentioned this before, if you remember, about the music issue, that it's a very sort of like gray area, right? So, there is some scope. I would say there's some scope for you in that situation. Assalamu alaikum, S. Hussein, ahlan wa sahlan. Did you guys have thunder today as well? Polemics, assalamu alaikum. Can you clarify the current so-called controversy surrounding the Quran and Ahruf? So let me explain in a synopsis, in a short, brief explanation about this Quran issue that's going around. It's not really a very problematic issue. The reason it's made out to be or blown out of proportion is because general public don't really have the sort of like training in understanding how historically many things were done, right? So this is why I mentioned yesterday as well in the Friday live stream. I mentioned that this kind of a topic, and like other topics that you're going to come across in Islam, which people now and again will raise, like for example the age of the Prophet ﷺ's wife Aisha radiallahu anha. This is one of the things that the people, especially Islamophobes, bring up. Or for example, like things like the controversy between Sunnis and Shias, and these are sort of like background issues that people can twist and can just misquote or chip and chop from here and there, and then cause a lot of sort of controversy. But in a nutshell, let me explain something. The Quran was revealed to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam through Jibreel alayhi salam, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed the Quran to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam over 23 years. These are like facts, these are. And the Quran says that Allah has promised himself that he will preserve the Quran, that the Quran will be preserved. So this is a promise from Allah, and we know Allah does not break the promises. The Quran, the way that the Quran was recited to the people was a verbal recitation. This is how generally it was done. 95% of the time it was a verbal, even 99% of the time. In the time of Sahaba, it was verbally recited to the people. So it's a verbal tradition, an oral tradition. Now, when the Quran was recited, because the Arabs were of so many different background dialects, many of them were unable to pronounce certain words. So initially they were allowed to say the Quran in their tongue, right? So the Quran was revealed to the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ in his dialect, in the dialect that he spoke. But the Prophet ﷺ was permitted to allow the people, based on their dialects, to pronounce the Quran. Think about it today, like, for example, the American accent, Canadian accent, if there's a difference between the two, Australian accent, South African accent, Nigerian accent, Indian accent, Pakistani accent, Bangladeshi accent, all the different sort of like English sort of accents that you have. If you were to put 100 different accents of English in one room and they were to say the same sentence to you, a person who is learning English might find it difficult to understand what they're saying, because each one will be trying to pronounce it in their own sort of way. So they were allowed to pronounce this, and therefore there were certain sort of sounds that they used to make, right? And this is like reported. Ibn Jinni has a book, and in there he mentions about this, like the early Arabs and their pronunciation of letters. So they were allowed to pronounce this. So this multiple ways of pronouncing like certain ayats, and this did not affect the meaning of the ayah, by the way. This did not affect the meaning. So this was done. Now what happened was that the Quran itself was in the dialect of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. Everyone knew this, right? So for example, like English, even if you speak Nigerian, or even if you speak American English or Australian or South African or whatever, if you have a sentence in English, everyone knows what the original sentence is. Like for example, let's say you have a movie, Hasta la vista, baby, yeah, Terminator, yeah, everyone knows that one. Or Romeo and Juliet, right? Romeo, oh Romeo, wherefore art thou Romeo? Everyone knows that one. So it's like, even though people will pronounce it in their own dialect, everyone knows what the original way is, that the original way it was said. So what happened was, when the Prophet ﷺ, he passed away, the Quran was being preserved. The Prophet ﷺ was preserving in two ways. He was encouraging people. If you watch my the 40 hadith on the Quran, in there's a lot of hadith that indicate this. The Prophet ﷺ was encouraging people to memorize, and there was like a sort of like an Olympics in memorization of Quran, of learning the Quran. Young people are doing it, men are doing it, women were doing it. And so as time was going by, Quran memorization was like a key feature of the Arab communities. They were memorizing it. And the Prophet ﷺ at the same time had over 60 scribes, in the books of Seerah as mentioned, over 60 scribes that were actually recording the Quran. This is mentioned by people like Al-Hajawi in his Fiqh Sami. He mentioned this. And they were recording it on different pieces of material. When the Prophet ﷺ passed away, the Quran was not compiled in one book form that we see today, but it was preserved in the mind. Everyone knew. If you said to someone, read Surah Tawbah, they know what Surah Tawbah is, right? Think of it like nowadays. Think of it like the lyrics of a song or something. Obviously, these kind of examples are not befitting for the Quran, but there's no kind of other examples I can think of. So think of it like lyrics of a song, or think of it like, a famous speech that was made by someone. You might not have ever read it, but a person knows it. Like, people know the lyrics, Michael Jackson's lyrics. They know, other famous pop star lyrics. They know them. So like that, the Quran was known, memorized by people. So Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu's time, he compiled the Quran because Umar radiallahu anh saw that the people who are memorizing Quran are going to die one day, and then when they die, the Quran's then gone, right? Because it's in their hearts. So what was happening was people were teaching their children and their future generations, but now Abu Bakr, for the first time, he compiled the entire Quran. He got a group of people together. They compiled the Quran in one place, and this became the original, the Abu Bakr, the copy of the Quran. So this was kept in the house of Hafsa radiallahu anha after Abu Bakr passed away. And then what happened in the time Uthman radiallahu anhu, about 20-30 years later, the Quran was then, because there were so many dialects. Remember I said about the dialects that people were speaking. It was the different dialects was actually causing a problem amongst the Muslims. Muslims were refusing to pray behind others because they never heard the Quran being recited in another village. So they refused to call it Quran. So Uthman radiallahu anhu, he collected the main sort of senior Sahaba again, and they decided, right now we're gonna this time not just write the Quran again. No, we're gonna write the Quran in a font that's going to collect all the different recitations which were and the ways of pronunciation that were endorsed by the Prophet ﷺ. And anyone that was not endorsed, that we can't prove it was endorsed by the Prophet ﷺ, we're going to tell people to stop reciting that particular way. So this was all done, and it was kept. And then this became known as the Rasm Khat Uthmani, the Uthmani copy. So this specific way it was written. So if you look at the Quran, how it's written in Arabic, there's a very specific way. Certain letters are stretched, and there's certain little vowels on top, and so this sort of stretching, it was done. Now, these Fatha and Dhamma, that wasn't there at that time. Fatha and Dhammas came 100 years later. But it was kind of imagine without any dots at all, no dots. So that's why the Quran, it was just so amazing that the Arabs, the Sahaba, for the first time, this was one of the most unique works. The Arabs, for the first time ever in history, had compiled a book, because compilation of books was not known by Arabs. It was known by Persians and the Byzantines. So they compiled it, and when they compiled this became was sent out to everyone, and everyone's recitation was read according to this. So this was the ultimate preservation of the Quran, and this is the one that we have till today now, right? So this sort of Rasm al-Uthmani was a means of preservation, and that's how the Quran has been preserved, and until today everyone's reading the Quran in the same way. So that's basically in a nutshell. But ideally, if a person really wants to understand it, they need to study it thoroughly. Okay, Adam, what are the words of Kinaya? 1 second. Okay, Adam, what are the words of Kinaya? Can any word with intention be considered Kinaya? So what do you mean by Kinaya? Are you talking about Balagha? Are you talking about Usul Fiqh? Are you talking about Fiqh? Which kind of science are you specifically talking about when you mention Kinaya? Kinaya in Arabic simply means a word which has a sort of implicit meaning to something else. Like, for example, if I say Zayd has a big mouth, that's Kinaya of he speaks a lot. Fahim, Jazakallah khair, Ahsan. FA, wa alaikum assalam. Omar Sheikh, can you join the salah if you're tired? Can you join the salah if you're tired? Join, you mean, what do you mean, Maghrib and Isha, something like that? Okay, London, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Hope you're well and rested. Jazakallah khair. You said that you were going to make a detailed answer to 18 to 15 degrees Fajr. Still waiting patiently. Yeah, inshallah. Carry on waiting. That's all I can say. So at the moment I've been very busy with moving and stuff, so I'll have to make it later on sometime. Yeah, so maybe in a couple of months or so, hopefully, inshallah. Like the travel, so according to the scholars, tiredness is not a reason for combining the prayers. Yeah, no, it wouldn't be. There is some of the Hanafis have said that you can sort of if a person's ill, they can pray both salats within the the ending of one salat and the beginning of another salat, like between Dhuhr and Asr, that sort of time, what they call the one shadow. Malika, hello, ahlan wa sahlan. Ibrar, assalamu alaikum. Where does Imam stand in janazah for men and women? So this isn't really like a specific sort of place where he has to stand, but some of them have said that for the man he stands in the belly, and for the woman he stands at the chest. But it doesn't really matter. You can stand as long as he's standing in the middle somewhere. It's totally fine. Shaqim alaikum assalam, ahlan wa sahlan. Yeah, today I've been doing a bit of gardening today, and so yeah, I've been I look a bit exhausted because the gardening is very hot as well. Very hot today. For our standards, that is. Maybe for some of your standards it's okay. Okay, so dear Mufti, so please explain. Is it allowed for men to wear cufflinks made from silver, which is more than the 1 mithqal, 4.3 grams? I understand that for men wearing jewelry is not allowed except silver ring, which is less than 1 mithqal. Can you give me the ruling of cufflinks? Yeah, so for men to wear something which is an item of jewelry, which is purely for jewelry purposes, is something which is disliked according to the Hanafi madhab. However, if a man was to wear something which was not jewelry but it had a function like a watch, this doesn't fall under jewelry then. And likewise, cufflinks of something of that sort as well. And ring, however, is the only sort of jewelry which are permitted according to the Hanafi school. Rings is 1 mithqal, but the others, they don't have to be 1 mithqal. So the cufflinks would not necessarily have to be 1 mithqal for that. Yeah, because the 1 mithqal was for the ring. The Hanafis mentioned it for the ring. So it's not necessarily a ruling which extends to cufflinks. Okay, wallahu alam. I mean, I haven't really kind of come across anything about having silver the Hanafis, to my understanding, haven't mentioned that a man can only have 4.3 grams of silver on him, right? They just mentioned it for the ring. Okay, FA, once the situation gets better, I would like to travel to memorize Quran. What program would you recommend, in person or online? This is for older women. I haven't memorized the Quran. I mean, I only memorized a few juz of the Quran. I'm not memorizing the Quran. There are some people I know who have memorized the Quran online, and a lot of people I know who memorized it in person, face to face with a teacher. I don't know which one is better, but what I can say is, if you feel as though you can memorize the Quran in front of a teacher better than online, then I would suggest you do online. And I'm not the best person to ask what's the best place to memorize the Quran. I wouldn't be able to say that. So if there's anyone here who can really help, then maybe you can post it, but I wouldn't be the best person to ask. Okay, Mushuman, assalamu alaikum. Sheikh, I have a standard life assurance policy for work, but not sure if it's halal. I was planning on opting out and perhaps getting a halal life insurance policy. Is this okay? So how does the standard life assurance policy, is it something which is automatically included, or are you contributing towards it? How does it exactly work? If you can tell me that. Ibrahim, if a person can't see Allah in dunya, how did our akabir see Allah in a dream? We question is what did they see which allows them? Yeah, so the realm of the dream, according to Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, we will not be able to see Allah in the dunya, but we will be able to see Allah in the hereafter. Now, in dream world, anything you can see. You can see anything. So dream world is basically, dream world is what we call a symbolic world. It's a symbolic, alamul mithal. So therefore, things that are seen there are not really representative of the exact thing. So this is why when people say they saw Allah in a dream, it doesn't mean that they saw like Allah's shape and body and all that. No. What they tend to mean is that they saw something which represented Allah. So it's just a representation. Okay. I think HSBC Amana have a policy. Yeah, so try that out. I mean, I don't know about HSBC Amana, how the policy works. But what I would say is ask them who are the scholars who have endorsed it. And if they seem like names that are are okay, then go for it. You can go for it. Abrar, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Have you seen the Imam Ahmad series? It's really good. I've seen half of it. I haven't got a chance to go through all of it yet. So I've seen half of it. Okay, next. Yes. Is it allowed for men to wear gold-plated watches? Yes. Gold-plated watches are allowed. Not gold, but gold-plated. Is it allowed for men to wear watches which are not predominantly gold, but contain gold parts such as hands of watch or dial? Yes. So Hanafis, Imam Abu Hanifa allows a man to wear a small item on his body where the gold is not the primary metal in that object. So for example, he allows a man to wear a ring where the stone is held in place by a gold like hoop. He allows that. So likewise, we understand from that having a watch with like hands that are made from gold, or some cogs inside that are made from gold, that would be allowed. Okay. Yeah, so this is a great idea. I will do for the video. So Jazakallah khair. Someone last week, mashallah, alhamdulillah, they time stamped all my questions and I counted them, and it was 80, mashallah. So may the person who done this get Jannatul Firdaus and blessings in their life and in the dunya and hereafter, and their family and their children. It's a very generous thing that person done. Alhamdulillah, it makes it a lot easier for a lot of people now to go through the video without having to watch all of it, and just to click on the times or the questions that they're interested in. So Jazakallah khair to the person. And then S did I don't know if S is here today. S went actually through some other ones previously before that and actually made a whole timestamp for them as well. So excellent. Jazakallah khair. May Allah bless you guys. This is also considered a khidmah of deen as well, right? Making it easier for people to be able to access the questions. So yeah, excellent. Jazakumullah khair. Thank you very much. May Allah bless all of you guys. Assalamu alaikum. Sometimes I get overwhelmed by my sexual desires and end up okay. So children, if there's any children watching, yeah, it's time to mute it. Yeah, or go and look outside the window at the rain. Okay, so sometimes I get overwhelmed by my sexual desires and I end up masturbating. So will I be sinful? I've heard Ibn Abidin giving some leeway, but not sure. So according to the scholars, generally the position on masturbation is that it's prohibited unless a person is overwhelmed with desire and they are unable to continue their day without being frustrated. So then there would be some leeway. Ibn Abidin mentions that Imam Muhammad rahimahullah says that he hopes that there is no like problem, that there is no sin attached to it. So if a person relieved themselves because of that, then it would be permissible. So if a watch has gold details like hands and markers, it's allowed. Yeah, so I'll answer that one. Okay. Right, next. Okay, Deobandis don't believe. Oh my god, this is another one of those people who've got a little bit of a problem with Deobandis. And see, the issue with these Deobandi questions is that generally people asking these questions, they have not spoken to a Deobandi themselves maybe, and maybe they haven't really kind of like face to face, or and it's just like things they've heard, rumors they've heard, things they've seen online on YouTube. That does not necessarily mean that anyone who has studied in Madrasa Deoband Madrasa is reflective of those sort of statements or comments. Not at all. So I can't bother answering these kind of things. Waste of time. Okay, I have a business of jewelry. Recently I got to know that it's not allowed for women to wear artificial rings. That's not necessarily true. Yeah, so for example, like in India, Mufti Khalid Saifullah Rahmani, he says that it's permissible, yeah, for women to wear any sort of jewelry, even if it's artificial, so long as it's not made from iron, pure iron, sulfur and stone, it's pure stone. Those are not allowed, but any other ones, plastic ones, are allowed, and all these kind of things are allowed. So that's a position that I take as well. I have the following questions if you can answer in your next live. I understood that silver plated and gold plated metal rings are allowed for women. Sometimes we plate silver rings with rhodium plating, which is another metal similar to platinum, so it's so that it doesn't tarnish. Are such rings allowed? Yes, they'd be allowed. In the case of ring is a mix of another metal with silver or gold, for example, brass and silver, is it allowed? Yes, if allowed. So all kind of things are allowed, like I said. How did you learn Arabic? Right, I haven't heard this one for a very long time. So I learnt Arabic by traveling to Pakistan, the last of all places. I went to Pakistan and I studied over there for 9 years. I studied, and so that's how I learned Arabic. So I don't know if that's the answer you're looking for, but you don't have to go to Pakistan to learn Arabic. You can learn Arabic in this country. I've got many students that I teach who speak Arabic, very good, mashallah. They can have a conversation, they can give a talk in Arabic, they can write essays in Arabic. So it's possible even in this country, in the UK, it's possible. It's even possible online as well. I've seen many people who have learnt online, alhamdulillah. If you want to learn Arabic, then down below in the you can see this bar, there is an email, you contact email, and there is the Quranic Arabic 17 lessons. 17 lessons, guys, is basically the course I designed, and it's designed to fast track people in getting into Arabic. Lots of people around the world have been doing it, alhamdulillah. We've got, hundreds of students that have done this course from the past. At the moment, there's lots of people doing it as well. Men, women, children even, that are doing this course. And alhamdulillah, I mean, it's £50 courses. If you're interested in doing it, you want to check out, some of the work that these guys are doing, you can email, and inshallah you get more details there, inshallah ta'ala. All right. Okay, next question. I have a lifetime of qada salat to make up. Would it make sense to try and make these up as opposed to reading the nafal such as the tahajjud, duha? Yes, you can do that. That would be a very good way. In fact, do those things in the duha time and in the tahajjud time, and you get reward for inshallah. If I was to make up qada during the night, would there be any extra reward attached to this because qiyamul layl? Possibly, yes. Yeah, Allah is Kareem, Allah is most rewarding, Allah is the one who is most generous as well. We should never underestimate Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's generosity. So if a person has tried their best to make up, this is something which brings them closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Remember that. Yeah, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, if you come to Allah walking, Allah will come to you running. Yeah, if you come to Allah walking, Allah will come to you running. And this means that the more passion and zeal you show to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in showing obedience to Him, things that you've done in the past that you were upset with and now you regret it and now you want to come back to Allah, this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the Kareem, is the most merciful. Excellent. Okay, wa alaikum assalam. Is fostering allowed in Islam? So fostering, from my understanding, is different from adoption. Adoption is where you take a child, you adopt a child, and the child permanently becomes a member of your family, right? Fostering, that's not the case. Fostering is a temporary form of adoption. So you kind of take care of the child, but the child is going to be with you for 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever, and then they go to another family. So is fostering permissible? Fostering is considered to be permissible. Yeah, totally permissible. However, there's some things that some of the scholars sort of raise, which is things like, if you're fostering a child, let's say for example, like it's a girl, and then that girl grows up, and then that girl, is reached the age of puberty, will you be able to, look at her hair, or will she be able to look at, if it's a boy, will he be able to look at the lady in the house, her hair without hijab on, these kind of things. These are some of the things that, will she be able to be alone with them? So I was in a conference a few years ago regarding this. It was to do with this. And I personally would say, look, is that try your best to stay within the limits of Islam. But if it's going to become very, very hard, you have to understand that not everyone will be able to do that. Fostering is preserving someone's life. Yeah, you're taking care of them, you're bringing them into your family. This is something the Prophet ﷺ, he loved, when people used to take care of other people, especially when it comes to fostering Muslim children, where you're preserving their faith as well. So I would say this is a noble act. If it's difficult to be able to, fulfill every single detailed sort of like observation in Islam, then I don't think it's going to be an issue. Yeah, because the higher goal is to take care of that child, take care of that person, save their iman if it's a Muslim. So yeah. Okay, right. Alright, next question. Let's check out the question. Big Mo, yo, Big Mo, you haven't been around for a long time, man. Ramadan over, and that's it. Chutti, bhai. What's this? Where you gone? Assalamu alaikum, my dear Sheikh. Can I use hand gel? Use 70% alcohol? Yes, it's permissible because the alcohol is not what in Islam we consider to be alcohol. It's just a chemical compound which contains carbon, hydrogen, oxygen. So according to Abu Hanifa, he says it's permissible, right? And you can't drink it because you'll die if you drink. It's toxic. Is it permissible also? What happens? It gets into your clothes on your bed. It's fine, totally permissible according to Abu Hanifa. Totally fine. Rapids hits. Oh, assalamu alaikum. Hope you and your family are well. I wanted to ask, my beard is quite curly and my dad tells me to trim it, but according to the hadith it says to keep it long. What should I do? So according to Hanafis, there's two Hanafi positions among scholars. One is that it should be kept around the size of a fist, right? One fist size. And the other one is that you can keep it short so long as there's hair on the jaws. So long as there's some facial hair on the jaws, that would be. So I mean, both positions to me are positions that are backed by evidences. And you look at your situation. I would say if you were to trim your beard short or you to make it a bit more smarter, then that would be fine as well. Could you clarify shortly the Kalami issue? Go back up. Okay, where is this? Could you clarify shortly the Kalami issue regarding that in every shar there is khair? Yeah, so okay, so I'll just do it in a very brief kind of like way. So the question which arises, I mean, see, this is the kind of question I don't want to kind of like delve into too much, because then it opens up kind of worms, and then there's like lots of questions people are going to have, or issues that people are going to raise. But in a nutshell, what we understand is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created everything in the universe. Allah is the creator of the pig, He's the creator of the sky, He's the creator of gold, He's the creator of alcohol, He's the creator of the sun, every single thing. Technically, Allah is the creator of every single thing, right? He's khaliqu kulli shay'in. So if He's the creator of every single thing, then that means every single thing has to be considered to be the same, right? But that's for Him, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He creates. But for the creation, depending on the purpose and objectives of that thing can be good for that person or bad for that person, right? So it's subjective to the person. So for example, like maybe poison, a certain type of poison, right, a venom in a snake might be beneficial for the snake, but it's harmful to the prey, right? Or for example, like let's say there might be a fruit, and that fruit might be beneficial for one type of animal, but another type of animal eats it, it's going to be harmful for him. So the same thing applies when we understand the concept of like evil and good, right? So the concept of evil and good is something which is subjective to human beings, but for Allah it's objective. And Allah in Islam has certain things which are what we call objective things that are good and objective evil. So those things in the Quran that Allah tells us, for example, alcohol, Allah tells us is bad for us, or Allah tells us killing is bad for us, or Allah tells us rape is bad for us, then these are things we consider to be bad, even though a criminal might think, well, rape is okay because I enjoy it, or a drug dealer might say selling drugs is good for me, and so forth, right? So we have to stick to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us. Now some of the early scholars, for example the Mu'tazila, they came out with the idea that no, the aql, human intellect, is the sort of like measure for what is good and what is bad, and then the Sharia will come to endorse that. So Sharia simply emphasizes that, right? And that's where they differed with other Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah on this issue. So that's in a gist basically. Otherwise the topic is quite long and I don't want to spend too much time on that. Okay, gentlemen, so Mufti Sahab, The sides don't have to be a fist. I've always been told that it has to be a fist. Yeah, so this is something which it comes in a narration in Tirmidhi where the Prophet ﷺ, he used to take from his sides. So what does it mean he used to take from his sides? So taking from the sides, some of them say that it means that it was made presentable. Yeah. So for example, so that it doesn't look, so because different people's hair will behave differently. Some people's hair is soft and some people's hair. Yes, there are some scholars who say the fist length has to be all the way around, based on the Ibn Umar radhiyallahu anhu hadith. And other scholars say no, that is to do with the hair which is on the jawline, yeah, the jaws, the bottom, not necessarily on the sides, the sideburns. So if you do want to take that position, Jan man, that's fine. Yeah, totally fine. Big Mo, my dear Sheikh, so happy to see you. Ahlan wa sahlan. Big Mo, SMB, wa alaikum salam. Umar, Islam. Please explain differences between tawakkul and tawassul. Bro, Umar, Islam, this is a question every week someone has to ask, man. The tawassul question, guys. Yeah, this week it's Umar Islam. You are the tawassul asker. You are doing tawassul through me to ask this question. So, okay, if you kind of leave that kind of question to the end, so if you get time, I'll answer at the end, because every week I nearly answer it. So if you check last week's video, there's a timestamp there and I've answered that one. Right, otherwise at the end, inshallah. Muhammad Shah, wa alaikum assalam. Have you studied any of the books authored by Sheikh Saeed Fawda? I haven't studied them, but I've read them. Yeah, I haven't studied them, but I've read them, yeah. So like, for example, his commentary on Aqidah Tahawiyya, I've read like maybe 2/3 of it, I think. Yeah. MP, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. SMB, can you take off leather socks during the 24 hours and does it restart the cycle? If you take off your socks, right, after you broke your wudu the first time, you take off your socks, that's when the time starts again. Check out my Kuduri videos. In my Kuduri video, in the section of wiping over leather socks, I've explained it over there in detail. Big Mo, okay. MU, salam, hope you are well, keep well. What is tawassul? How is it done? Can it only be done through the Prophet? Yeah, MU, I've answered this. I've answered this before. Check last week's series. Check in the comments, inshallah. There's a timestamp there for tawassul. Okay, Rabi, wa alaikum assalam. SMB, can you do sajda tilawa after Fajr? Yes, you can. Dina, assalamu alaikum. After one has their nikah, is there a certain time frame before they should move in with their spouse? No, there's no specific time they have to move in. They can move anytime they want. Ideally, the husband should provide home for her, yeah, or some place of living. But if she wants to waiver that right, it's up to her, right? But if she demands that, then legally he is the one that is supposed to provide for her. Okay. Rabi, does the word Yahud come from the word Huda, guidance? Yeah, so the word Yahud in the Quran, which is used for Jews, the Mufassirin have differed about where this word actually came from. So some of them said that this word came from in the Quran where Allah says that the Jews said, Inna hudna ilayk. Yeah, Inna hudna ilayk. Yeah, so when Musa alayhi salam, he went with his 70 or so people to the mountain, and then all of a sudden, the lightning came and they all died, and then they came back to life and they repented to Allah. Inna hudna ilayk. So the word hudna was mentioned there, so it's from the word hada yahudu. So others like Sheikh Tahir ibn Ashur, he says no. He says the word Yahud actually comes from the one of the sons or the tribes of Yaqub alayhi salam, which was Yahuda with a dal, Yahuda. So in Arabic you say Yahuda with a dal instead of a dal. So there's 12 tribes, the 11 brothers of Yusuf alayhi salam. One of them's name was Yahuda, the elder. So what happened basically, he says, is that the 12 tribes scattered around the world, yeah? And the tribe of Yusuf alayhi salam and Binyamin, they settled around Quds, Jerusalem. Whereas the other 10, they went north, right? Where, you have the Golden Heights around that area. So then what happened was Nebuchadnezzar, and there was like lots of wars and things, and they scattered. And then what happened was they returned back to the Jerusalem area, and the name Yehuda, because of the elder brother, they all took that elder brother's name, and they called themselves the Yahud. That's one interpretation. It doesn't necessarily mean that is 100% the reason, but that's something I've come across in, in Tafsir Ibn Ashur. SMB, is there any reasoning behind why Prophet ﷺ read Zuhur and Asr Salah quietly? We don't know. That was just the practice of the Prophet ﷺ. And some say it was because the recitation is supposed to be for nighttime, like as in recitation is more effective in nighttime. Adam, sorry, I meant kinaya, which affects nikah. For example, like if someone says hello, how are you? No, so kinaya in talaq has to be wording which implies divorce. So any wording which implies separation or divorce. Yeah, so it just can't be anything. It can't be like, for example, a man says to his wife, "You're the son," and he says, "I meant by that divorce." It won't occur. So it has to be a word which indicates separation, indicates the nikah being over. What I would suggest, if you are interested in studying stuff like this, then I would suggest that you do Usul Fiqh course. I've got an Usul Fiqh course in the uruk.com. So if you go to uruk.com, I've got Usul Fiqh course. It's 28 lessons. In there's a section on majaz and kinaya and stuff like that. Umar Sheikh, barakallah feek wa feeka aydan. Big Mo, question. Okay, Yasin Kipi. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. What is the reason Muslims and other religions wear caps, hats, kufiya? So this idea of covering of the head seems to, from my own understanding, this is from my understanding, yeah, it's not like Hanafi madhab does not explain why this happens, but I'm just giving my understanding, is that classically in the past, societies all covered their heads. It was considered to be like a piece of clothing. So like a piece of clothing, like a shirt, like today people wear shirts for some reason. Why do people cover their top part of their body? Why do people wear trousers for? It's just something which people do. So covering of the head classically was something that was considered to be a respectable form of presenting yourself in public. So that's why this is something which is considered to be something religions adopted. Yeah. So the covering of the head in Islam is not a religious duty, as in we don't have the Quran telling us or the Sunnah telling us that you must cover your head. But it's just something which was done in them days. So people later on considered it to be something which we should also carry on. Now, is it important if the society stops covering their heads? Is it important for a Muslim to cover their head? Not necessarily, right? Some may argue, well, it's an identifying marker now. So in today's times, if you wear like one of those hats like, Dr. Zakir Naik or something like that, it identifies you as a Muslim. But we don't need to identify as a Muslim by covering our head, right? The most important identification of a Muslim is your beliefs. The Quran emphasizes that we say we are Muslim. That's the strongest way that we identify as a Muslim. But I understand those people who say that the hat is a good way to kind of demarcate or signal that you're a Muslim. It's fine. Sheikh, what about Liaquat 2.0? Yeah, I know, man. He's disappeared. Inshallah, in the future, he's gonna come back. All right, so let's go to the next question. Okay, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How low should the bar be to get married? I'm a student of knowledge and I don't want to marry a Muslim by name. They may pray, but you'll be lucky if they know how to read Quran. Forget about them listening to a lecture or taking a course. My sister told me that let go of an ilmi husband requirement or change country because I won't find one who shares my passion for deen here. Is it okay to take a man who thinks praying 5 times a day is too much and hope he'll change, or to take a Christian who is willing to convert, saying he considered it before and not because of a woman? As much as I learned on tawakkul, I'm past 32 and the more time passes, the less serious offers come in. Please suggest what is the bare minimum to marry a man who has... Now, this kind of question wouldn't be a question which is, you can say, fiqh per se. So it's not like a question which is, directly associated to fiqh or anything like that. This would just be something which would be based upon experience. What I would say is this is from my experience, but I don't know, maybe some people here might have other experience as well. What I would say is, from my understanding, I have seen couples who have got married. The husband is not a very practicing person, but he's a good person at heart, very caring, has a good character, has takes care of his family, and now and again prays. I've seen that marriage, do very well. And at the same time, I've seen some marriages where you have the husband is a scholar, is an alim, and the family are not getting on, right? So you have both extremes. What I would say is that generally what tends to happen is a lot of people who have not got married before, they sort of like have a lot of fears. Yeah, they have a lot of fears, and they think to themselves, look, I'm scared of getting into this marriage, and I really want someone who's the perfect person. And some people will spend their whole life trying to find the perfect person. There's never going to be a perfect person. And that the Sahaba's life showed you that the Sahabas, they were people who, many of them, like, divorced so many times. Yeah, married, so many times. And that just shows you that the idea is not to find the perfect person. The idea is to find someone you can live with. That's the most important thing. That you can sort of like carry on your sort of spiritual journey in Islam and get close to Allah. But yeah, that's the main idea, I would say. So these kind of things, a lot of people unfortunately will spend so many years trying to find the ideal person. They don't get it. I've seen people who, like a lot of scholars I know, they have very busy lifestyles, and they spend very little time with their families, simply because they have to go give talks in places, travel abroad. Like, imagine, for example, like someone like Mufti Menk, who's, before COVID-19 was traveling all around the country. Now imagine his wife, how his wife is going to be. If his wife is okay with him traveling around and she's going to be left at home, right, then that's the kind of lifestyle. So a lot of people will say, oh, I want to get married to someone like Mufti Menk. Yeah, he's like this, and he's so amazing. But then Mufti Menk is a mufti for the world. He's not a mufti for his family. Yeah, he's going to be traveling around, giving talks and all that. He'll be with his family now and again. So this is what tends to happen when people have high aspirations. They want to get married to like a very famous celebrity or a very famous scholar or sheikh or something like that. They don't realize all the kind of problems that come with that, living with that kind of lifestyle. That's the advice I'd give. So I would say, you might find someone who is not so religious as you, but they start to kind of like get into religion. They become more interested. Okay, there's another question. Okay, the Quran teaches dua, my Lord, have mercy upon them as they cherished me in my childhood. And there's a hadith which says that the Messenger of Allah said, he who recites the Quran and acts upon it, on what it contains, on the day of judgment, his parents will be crowned with a crown of dignity, whose light will be brighter than the light of the sun, and the world in it is brighter than among you. What do you think of the person who acts upon it? How did many Sahaba whose parents died as kuffar understand and react to the dua of the Quran about parents in this hadith? So I don't know how the Sahaba reacted to this, and I'm sure that it would have been something that would have affected them. Not every Sahaba's parents died on kufr. Yeah, many of the Sahaba's parents, they died before Islam came, so they would be treated as people who were the people of Fatra. And who knows, on the day of judgment Allah may honor some people because of this. So Allah knows best. But these kind of things, see, what tends to happen is human beings, we like to take one concept we've heard from the Prophet ﷺ, and then we like to try and apply it from A to Z on the whole of Islam. That is a big problem, guys. The reason that's a big problem is because hadith that come don't necessarily mean what they're saying. And what I mean by that is sometimes a hadith might be said by the Prophet ﷺ, but it had a sort of explanation behind it, which the Prophet ﷺ was saying to the companions. And if someone reads that explanation in a vacuum without context, it can become very confusing. Yeah, it can become very confusing. And then it causes lots of problems, like the Prophet ﷺ said this, or shouldn't this be like this? The Prophet ﷺ said that there is no faith for the one who is dishonest. There is no iman for the one who is dishonest. So someone says, oh, that means I know a friend who last week was dishonest to me. That means they're not a Muslim anymore. That means they were married, their marriage is over. That means that, this and that. So no, it doesn't mean that. The hadith has a context behind it. The hadith has meaning. There's sort of a story behind it as well. And, there's something that the Prophet implied. So likewise, these kind of hadith, we don't take this type of hadith to derive things from it. This is not a hadith that we take to derive. To derive, we have to look at all the hadith regarding the concept of parents. Okay. Right, so I'm going to have a little break now, inshallah. So I will be back in about 5 minutes or so. right? So I'll be back in about 5 minutes or so, inshallah. So go make some tea or coffee or whatever, and I will see you back in a bit. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome guys, ahlan wa sahlan, marhaban. Okay, so right, let's get on with the questions then. Right. Okay, so question. If I die before my wife and she happens to get remarried in this world thereafter, if in the next life both me and her new husband end up in Jannah, will I have to fight in Jannah the new husband in order to be recognized as the husband? So these kind of things, these kind of questions that people have, there isn't a categorical ayah of the Quran or a hadith of exactly what's going to happen, right? There are some narrations that mention that a husband and wife will be reunited in Jannah, but we don't exactly know the details, right? So I'm just giving you possible scenarios. What possibly can happen is the wife may be able to choose which husband she wants to be with. This may happen, and the other person may be rewarded with a spouse that was similar to the wife. Allah knows best. So a lot of the things we can't really kind of compare in the hereafter is because the hereafter is something beyond human comprehension. So humans cannot comprehend exactly what's going to happen in the hereafter. So this is why these kind of questions, I wouldn't stress about it too much. Okay, aren't Muslims who have a medical condition making them legitimately excused from fasting in a position of unfair disadvantage in relation to Muslims who can fast, as the former are not able to attain the levels of taqwa that can only be attained through fasting? Okay, so this is a good question. So see, Islamically, right, whenever we do something in Islam, whenever we perform any act in Islam, right, it's all to do with the obedience of Allah. So taqwa has nothing to do with how much salat you pray. Taqwa has no relation to how much you fast. Taqwa has no relation to how much hajj you do or how much sadaqah you give at all. There's no correlation between a person that does a lot of these things, his taqwa is very high at all. You could find a person who prays in the front rows of a masjid, but his taqwa will be low. And you could find someone who, just about makes it for his salats and things, his taqwa will be very high. So the concept of taqwa is more to do with this idea of obedience to Allah. So therefore, if there's two people, one person who fasts, one person who has some medical condition like diabetes or something and they can't fast, both can have the exact same amount of taqwa. In fact, the guy with diabetes is possible to have higher taqwa, attain higher taqwa in Ramadan than the guy who fasts. Because taqwa is all to do with the condition of the heart. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, taqwa lies here, taqwa lies here, taqwa lies here. So people have a misunderstanding when they assume that they coin the two together, and they assume that a person who does good, his taqwa is high, and a person who does more good actions, his taqwa is high. A person who commits more sins, his taqwa is low, right? In fact, it can be total opposite. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran himself mentions that he switches bad deeds into good deeds. So bad deeds can be flipped into good deeds, right? In al-hasanat yudhibna sayyi'at. Yeah, yubaddilu Allah hasanat sayyi'atim hasanat, Allah says. So, I mean, this is a misunderstood. I think the person asking this question hasn't understood the concept of taqwa properly, right? So, taqwa is the obedience, is increased by the obedience to Allah, and it's a condition of the heart. It's not a condition of the limbs. Okay, are you thinking of making a video to do critical analysis of Surah Corona made by Arab and atheists? Yes, and not just that. There's some other ones as well that I've seen in the past as well. Inshallah, I'm going to make a video on that. But the problem is that I know that if a person does not have a very, very, very strong understanding of Arabic literature, classical Arabic literature, they will not benefit from this video. Like, for example, I can make a video and I can say to a person, right, look, this video, this kind of sentence is not how the Quran would say it. This kind of sentence has this sort of like flaw in there. But that person would not be able to appreciate. They are appreciating it because I'm telling them. Like, they won't be able to understand it for themselves. So, it's like a person can only understand the flaws in these artificial sort of made up surahs that people try to use in competition with the Quran. They will only understand those if they can understand the balagha in the Quran themselves. So if they can understand what makes the Quran unique. And I personally say the only way you can see the uniqueness of the Quran is in understanding its language. And the best way I'll give an example of it is, the best way to understand it is like tasting food. For example, like if you say to me, this pasta dish is fake. Yeah, it's not right. Yeah, it's not, Michelin star level. Make a video to show that it's not Michelin star level. It doesn't matter how much videos I make to explain how this pasta is not Michelin star. It's not going to benefit you, because the only way you can understand is if you train your taste buds in understanding what a Michelin star dish tastes like. And then when you taste that, you'll understand why that's wrong. This is the same thing with the Quran, right? So when people think that the challenges that people make in the Quran, because just because someone, for example, like reads Quran or reads Arabic language in a melodious tone. Let's say someone read a Arabic newspaper in a melodious tone, right? So a lot of people would think that sounds like Quran. They might think it's Quran even, right? So just because something sounds like the Quran does not necessarily mean it has achieved the challenge and it has won the challenge in the Quran. It doesn't mean that. So this is why I'm going to inshallah make a video, but not now. So I'm going through like lots of Arabic poetry and things like that. So this will only be appreciated by someone who has done a lot of Arabic. That's the only way I can say. And there's no kind of shortcut to it. There is no shortcut to doing this, right? And even classical scholars have mentioned this kind of thing, that this is only by dhawq. You have to achieve this through dhawq, through taste. You can study all the books of balagha, you can study all the books of nahu, but you still won't be able to grasp unless you have a very, very good sort of like experience with Arabic language. Okay, is it wrong to be obese if a person has illnesses which cause this? Some illnesses such as thyroid issues, slow metabolism or depression, etc. can cause weight. No problem. Obesity is only wrong if a person is doing it deliberately, it's in their control, and it's really affecting their health. Like, it's having a very bad effect on their health. That's when it's considered to be a bad thing, right? Likewise in Islam, anything which is going to cause you to harm your health is considered bad if it's voluntarily. But if it's a person who has medical condition, they can't control it, they're on some type of medication, some pills, and that causes their body to react in a certain way, and that's out of their control. Yeah, Allah does not burden a person more than they can bear. Okay. Okay. So is it wrong to be obese if a person has an illness? Some illnesses such as thyroid issues. If that's how they are naturally, how can they be wrong? Yes. So I answered that. Okay. So all the questions on Curious Cat have been answered. Let's check out some questions over here then. Right. In Islam. Assalamu alaikum Ustad. I was just wondering if you had any good books to read, things go listen to learn about the 99 names of Allah in a little more depth. Yeah, so there's a very good book by Imam Ghazali. Actually, if you check on last week's, I've actually mentioned a few books last week's video. So Imam Ghazali has one. And also Imam Abu Bakr ibn Arabi also has one as well. Yeah, these are very good. They're in Arabic though. I think someone's translated the Imam Ghazali one. King Tan, Assalamu alaikum. I know how to read the Quran, but I still have difficulty reading it fluently. Is there any tips for this? What I would suggest is get hold of someone, even if you have to pay them, and try to read the Quran as many times as you can. As in, if it's daily or every other day or maybe 3 or 4 times a week, try to be able to read the Quran to them, even if it's for 10-15 minutes a day. It doesn't matter, but just try to read, and that is gonna make it easier for you. And would you recommend I still learn Arabic grammar? It all depends. I would say. Can you string words together? Can you read and string words together? If you can read and string words together, even if you can't pronounce it properly, but you can, like al-kitab, you can say that word, then I would say that would be enough for you to learn Arabic grammar. Right, Umran Ali, Assalamu alaikum Maulana, give us hair care tips. So hair care tips, tea gel. That's what I'm gonna say to you guys. Tea gel. Yeah, tea gel. I use tea gel on my hair, and I use it maybe like once a week, or maybe sometimes 2 times a week if I feel like it. Okay, and Umran, your hair looks good as well. Yeah, you have good hair as well. Or don't you have good hair? And Islam. Also, Ustad, I have a bunch of Islamic material in my house, pamphlets, booklets, and other little things, etc., that I want to sort of declutter. Is there a respectful way of doing that? So what you can do is there are some organizations that will actually dispose of them for you. So if you look online and look where you live and try to Google it, you might be able to contact them, and they might have a depot or something where you can drop them off. Yeah, and they will sort it out for you. I think they take a little payment, but they'll do it for you. Otherwise, if there isn't anything, what you can do is burn them. You can burn them, or even put them in some sort of like some recycling, shred them and then burn them. That would be fine as well. Naveed Ahmed, Assalamu alaikum sir, is it permissible to pray voluntary prayers for those who have passed away, send them good deeds? Yes, totally permissible. According to the Hanafis and according to the Hanbalis, it's totally permissible. Mushuman, I was automatically enrolled in the life insurance for work but not contributing anything towards it. If it was to pass away, then the person I assign will get 4 times my salary as a lump sum, but work not contributing anything towards it. Yeah, then that's fine. Then that will be considered to be a gift on their behalf. That's fine. King Tan, is taqleed allowed even if opinion of the other madhab is stronger? So the concept of taqleed, this is a concept which is basically to do with the idea of following the opinions of experts when it comes to matters you don't know the answer to yourself. So this is why the scholars would say that unless you are expert yourself, you follow an expert. So if you feel that there is another madhab whose dalil is stronger and you've studied, and that's the key thing, you've studied usul fiqh, you've studied fiqh, then that's fine, you can take their opinion. But if you haven't studied usul fiqh but you just feel their opinion is stronger, I would suggest that you speak to your scholar that you normally get your questions from and ask them about this, because sometimes you might see an evidence being stronger, but in reality it's not stronger according to the opinion that you're normally used to. But for a person who is educated in Islam, knows usul, knows fiqh, then for them, if they see a dalil in another madhab stronger, they can take it. Okay, Prajopati Dana, I hope I've said your name right. I think I've probably said it wrong. Assalamu alaikum. Is it okay if we read Quran in English sound? I mean, like Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Yes, totally fine. Transliteration, you can pronounce it like that. You don't have to read Arabic. Big Mo, okay. Dawood Hussein, GC. Muhammad Masin Wala. Assalamu alaikum. Me and a girl are interested in each other. In what way should I contact her father? Should I get a third person to help? Yes, you can get anyone. Try to get someone else, maybe family member or someone to speak to them. So whatever way in your community is considered to be the normal way of trying to have this process of proposal go forward, you can use that. The people need hair care tips. Yeah, no. In COVID-19, I think nowadays in the UK, hairdressers are not allowed to open. So, tough one there. The mini gamer. Assalamu alaikum. Is this course for those who cannot read Arabic? No, it's not for those. So you have to be able to read Arabic, as in you have to be able to string Arabic letters together. If you can't string Arabic letters together, you look on my YouTube channel, there's actually a playlist. It's called Learn How to Read the Quran. And I've done 25 videos in there, and that will help you a lot to be able to read the Quran, inshallah. Jan Man, Assalamu alaikum. Can a woman travel in safe mode of transport, i.e. car, to her mother's house that enters Musafir limit? There is an ikhtilaf in this, yes. So I would say that it would be permissible as long as there is a very strong possibility or very strong likelihood that she'll be safe. Yeah. Umran Ali, yes. For those who can't read, excellent. Umran, you're the man. M.I. Hussein, Sheikh, are PCP car Islamic higher deals permissible? I heard a UK Islamic scholar say once that if the interest is fixed for the whole duration, it is allowed. So it all depends upon exactly it all depends on the contract. Yeah, so different finance organizations have different conditions in their contract. So if the contract works by a person purchasing a car, and that car will be paid off over installments over many years, and to use the term interest, usually that term interest doesn't mean interest as in you have to pay interest. Sometimes it just means that it's a profit. But sometimes what tends to happen is when you come into a deal with the dealership that you're going to pay it off over 2 years, and every month, let's say such and such X amount plus such amount interest, then the reason why they sometimes say interest is because they are actually taking out a loan on your name to pay for the car, and then you're paying back the loan, and then there is an amount of that loan you're paying back, which is going to be termed interest. That's where the problem lies. So I mean, if you have spoken to some scholars, they've said that it's permissible, you can take their view, but I mean, I would have to look at the contract details and all that. Manfado, Assalamu alaikum Hazrat, is it true Malikis don't believe in the nuzul of Isa? No, it's not true. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hope you are well. In fact, in the Muwatta, there's actually narrations that are there of Isa alayhi salam returning. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I hope you are well. Is there a good Arabic book you recommend regarding the formation of the Hanafi madhab? Yes, there is. So there is a book called Al-Madhab Al-Hanafi by Dr. Naqib. Dr. Naqib. It's in 2 volumes. Yeah, so it's in Arabic, so it should be okay for you. And it's very structured. If you want another book, a book called Al-Madkhal Al-Fiqhi Al-Am, Al-Madkhal Al-Fiqhi Al-Am by Dr. Mustafa Zarqa, Sheikh Mustafa Zarqa. That's a very good book as well. Excellent. It's in 2 volumes as well. But that's got there's one section in there which is all about the history of the madhab. Those are 2 very good books. And if you want another third book, there's a book called Abu Hanifa by Sheikh Abu Zahra. That also has a whole section on then how the Hanafi madhab developed. And if you want another book, actually we'll stop there. Okay, Layla, why do Muslim women wear the hijab apart from the fact that Allah ordered it? Can't modesty be achieved without having to wear headscarf? Yes, that's a good question. So headscarf has nothing to do with modesty. Okay, has nothing to do with modesty. So this is like a misunderstanding that people sort of coin together, right? Because a lot of speakers might say modesty is something very good and the headscarf has modesty in there. Yes, the headscarf might have a byproduct. So modesty might be a byproduct of the headscarf, but it's not the primary reason for headscarf. So Allah says, يُدْنِينَ عَلَيْهِنَّ جَلَابِيبِهِنَّ sorry, what was it? لِيُعْرَفْنَ. The idea of wearing the covering up is the idea of a woman being protected. So a woman being protected from the evils of society. So there are individuals in society that want to prey on a woman's looks. They want to harm women. So this is a preventative measure, you can say, right? A preventative measure. So this is what was set up. And it's an instruction from Allah, just like, for example, like covering the body for the men, covering the body for the women. So this idea of modesty, unfortunately, people assume the reason why Allah legislated the headscarf was modesty. It was not modesty. There is no evidence to prove that it's modesty. Modesty is simply a byproduct of it. Modesty is in everything in Islam. Everything has modesty in there. The way we pray our salat has modesty in there. The way we speak to our parents has modesty in there. So it's not modesty. It's just an instruction of following Allah subhanahu. Like for example, if someone says why can't Muslims eat pork, and someone might say, oh, because pork has eats filth. And someone might say, well, what if you can guarantee a pork will not eat its filth? And someone say, oh, it's actually because pork meat is very sort of like contains lots of parasites. So these are not the reason why Allah legislated the prohibition. Allah's legislation is based upon what we call illas, and some of those legislations in reality we don't know what the illah is, but because Islam is about submission, we submit ourselves to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Janman, Jazakallah khair for your answers, Mufti. I still remember playing football with you and swimming during the football in Stoke at Brothers Retreat. MashaAllah. Excellent. Oh yeah. You know what? I gotta put a face to your name. Oh yeah, I remember. Ibrahim. Is it Ibrahim, yeah? Oh yeah. Patrick Jibril. We currently have bright nights in Denmark where Sabab Isha doesn't occur. Can we pray Isha right after we prayed Maghrib? Possibly. Yeah, there are some Hanafis I know who do allow that in those kind of climates. So it's possible to take that opinion. I don't see a problem with that. Biz, Assalamu alaikum. Are the hardships and fitna of our time on the same level from the time of the Sahaba, or have they got harder and worse over time? Do we know? So this is something we can't gauge. There's no measure for it. It's always something which differs from time to time, and hardships and difficulties. See, hardships and difficulties are all personal issues. They're all to do with the person's personal sort of like circumstances. So for example, like we don't know exactly all the hardships the Sahaba went through. Like the narrations that have reached us are just a drop in the ocean of what was happening in their life. So we don't know, for example, which Sahabas went through depression. We don't know which Sahaba went through suicidal thoughts. We don't know which Sahaba went through going through domestic violence. We don't know which Sahaba were abused by members of their community, whether it's their family before accepting Islam. We don't know which Sahaba for days on end went without food. There's so many things that that are happening nowadays today. Maybe Sahaba are going through those. Many Sahaba lost lots of members of their family through a plague. Yeah, there were plagues in the time of Sahaba. So we don't know. That's the honest truth. London, why do the Ahnaf view dog saliva as najasa when there is a hadith to indicate dogs can be used for hunting? I've read the prohibition was due to rabies. Imam Malik's view is that it's not. So dogs can be used for hunting does not necessarily mean that the dog saliva is pure, because you can, for example, like when you slaughter an animal, the blood is impure, isn't it? So just because the blood is impure, it doesn't mean that, oh well, if you can slaughter an animal and then eat it, how can't the blood be, shouldn't the blood be pure? No, because you can wash the blood. So if a dog catches an animal for you, right, just because it's caught it with its mouth, it doesn't mean you're going to eat it raw. You're going to wash it, obviously, right? So that's not really a strong piece of evidence the Malikis present. So the other madhabs don't see that as a strong piece of evidence. In fact, the Malikis themselves have an issue with the hadith where the Prophet ﷺ, Abu Hurairah says, the Prophet ﷺ said that if a dog licks from a bowl, then wash it 6 times with water and once with sand. So what do they say there? So that's what the Hanafis say. The Hanafis say dog saliva is impure, right? It's just impure like urine's impure, and the simple method of cleaning it was to wash it. Okay, Polymath, Barakallah feek, you're welcome. Inni uhibbuka fillah wa uhibbuka fillah ayda أحبك الذي أحببتني فيه. Dina, Jazakallah khair, you're welcome. Umar Yusuf, alayhi salam. What are some of the recommended Quranic commentaries in Urdu for common Muslims? Okay, so there is, you can read Ma'arif al-Quran is good. It's quite long, right? And there's one that's actually written. It's going to be coming out soon. My teacher is involved, Sheikh Abdul Wazir, he's involved in it. He's writing up the tafsir of Mufti Saeed Ahmed Parampuri. So Mufti Saeed Ahmed Parampuri, who passed away a few weeks ago, that was my teacher's teacher. So my teacher, Sheikh Abdul Wazir, is writing out I think it's published a few volumes of it, the tafsir. So that's another commentary that you can read. Another one you can read is Ma'arif al-Quran, but by Sheikh Maulana Idris Khan Delvi. That's another very good one. Idris Khan Delvi. Yeah, so these are some of the good ones that you can check out. I'm not too sure which ones. Yeah, there's also Tafsir Uthmani. Tafsir Uthmani is very good. Yeah, check out Tafsir Uthmani. That's a very good one. It's very short, 2 volumes, very good. London Ramsey, I'll keep waiting for the 15 degrees, inshallah. Patience of virtue, definitely. Also, what about stunned chicken? Can you give a quick summary about this? Yeah, so I think I've become famous for giving quick summaries of questions. I think I should change my live streams to quick summary question answers. So basically, when it comes to stunned chickens, I've spoken to some people who own, slaughterhouses, or they work in them, and they say that basically what happens is they pass the chickens through normally a water. So there's a water that has a current flowing through it, very very light current. You can put your hand in there and you won't get no shock. And when you put the chicken in there, it stuns the chicken, as in the chicken just freezes for a little while. And it's easier to slaughter that chicken without the chicken moving its wings and becoming bruised, breaking its bones. Because when you slaughter a chicken and you throw it into a box on the ground, what happens? The chicken, it flaps its wings, right? Because it's dying, and it starts to break its wings and it starts to bruise itself. And then that meat, a lot of shops won't take it. So the stunning, what it does is it paralyzes the chicken for a little while, so that you can slaughter it. That's what it does. So it would be fine. What dhikr can I recommend to someone to recite who has a need? Surah Al-Fatiha. Surah Al-Fatiha, Surah Yasin is the best thing they can do. And ask from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's names. Yeah, asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's names is the best thing you can do. But Surah Fatiha and Surah Yasin. Hasib, Assalamu alaikum. Is it possible to become fluent in Arabic by watching TV shows that are in classical Arabic? They can help, but they can't make you they can't make you fluent. To become fluent, you have to broaden your sort of horizons when it comes to reading Arabic. Reading, writing, speaking, listening, all these skills are required. Yeah. Layla, what is the difference between Hanafi and Ahlus Sunnah? So, Ahlus Sunnah means the position held by those people who follow the way of the Prophet ﷺ, and that was passed down by the Sahaba. So it's basically like a belief system. Yeah, the belief system which you believe in. And Hanafi simply is talking about a law system, a system of law. So it's got nothing to do with beliefs. It's got more to do with how we pray our salat and how we fast and how we do these kind of things. If you want to know more about this, I've got a video on my YouTube channel that explains all of this in 3 episodes. Yeah, it's called The History of the Madhabs. So check it out. History of Madhabs in detail. I've explained, it's quite long. In detail, I explained it and I tried to make it easy as possible. So check that out, inshallah. But yeah, most Hanafis are part of Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Some Hanafis are Mu'tazili, but most are. SMB, is tambourine allowed? In hadith, it mentions Prophet two girls playing with tambourine when visiting Aisha. Yeah, so tambourine meaning the drum without the sort of like, those kind of the metal, sort of like, so bells. So tambourine without bells is what was in the hadith. Barakallah feek as well. Hasib, all 4 madhabs are correct and go back to the Quran Sunnah. Okay, HK, if someone is praying, how many rows apart do you have to be able to walk in front of them? So according to the Shafi'is, as long as you walk ahead of the sajda, so the place of sajda, as long as you walk around that. And the Hanafis have different opinions. One position is around the sajda, like the Shafi'is say, and the other one, the safer one, is 3 rows. So 1 row is from their feet to their sajda. The second row is from their sajda to another sajda, like that. So 3 of them, and then it's fine to walk around. Okay, Tahirul Islam, Assalamu alaikum. Muhammad Rakibul, Ahlan wa sahlan, marhaban. How can I see the Prophet ﷺ in the dream? Make dua to Allah. I have no idea. Yeah, people have, they come out with some sort of like experience or like measures, but I don't know. If we are Muslims, do we go to Jahannam? That's up to Allah. We will only know on the Day of Judgment. Also, how small can the sutra be? Sutra, the Hanafis say it should be the size of your arm. Yeah, about 2 foot. to 1.5 foot high. Dina, if the husband to be already has accommodation and the walima has been postponed, can they wait for the walima party before they move in together? Technically the walima should be after they move in. So walima in Arabic is the food that is after consummation of the marriage, basically. So after they are moving together, then the walima takes place. It can take place a month later, a year later, it doesn't matter. Okay, polymath. I know people who wish to adopt, inshallah. Is adoption halal? Yes. Once the child reaches the age of puberty, do they have to become na-mahram? E.g., if it is boy, becomes na-mahram for them. So, yeah, so this is what I mentioned earlier on about the fostering as well, which is you do have these issues, and once they reach the age of puberty, they will be non-mahram. So the mother will have to, cover up her hair in front of the child, the boy, when he grows a man, and the girl in front of. So, yeah. Mahfouz, assalamu alaikum. I am meeting a sister's father in a week's time, inshallah. Do you have any tips on making a good impression? Yeah, don't say silly things. Don't say silly things. Don't tell him you watch Urtugal. Don't tell him you support Liverpool. On a joke. Yeah, just what I would say, look, just go there, try to present yourself in a good way, look smart. Yeah, just be yourself. Yeah. And inshallah it should go. Make dua to Allah. That's the best thing. So you're going to feel nervous, but if it goes through, it goes through. It doesn't go through, chalo, it doesn't matter. Okay, Amin, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Okay, Big Mo Sheikh is a legend. He goes, Umran, you have good then. No, actually you don't. Ismail Ahmad, assalamu alaikum. Love from Birmingham. Ahlan wa sahlan. Ismail Brummy, fellow Brummy, mashallah. Deen Ali Khan, assalamu alaikum. Can you do wudu with your socks on? So, can you wipe over your socks? I think that's what you're trying to say, yeah? I don't think doing wudu with socks on is a good idea. You might wear all your socks. If they are thick socks that you can walk in them for about 3 miles without them tearing, then yes. Shaqim, did you see the Egyptian drama last Ramadan called The End? The End here, it made Israel angry because it depicted the destruction of Israel in the future. I see no English translation of the drama. No, unfortunately I didn't see it. Ruhin, Ahlan wa sahlan. Hi, Zainur. What is the tarkeeb of وَكَذَلِكَ وَكَذَلِكَ قَوْلُهُ? So it depends what came before it. Yeah, so it would be something like قَوْلًا كَذَلِكَ قَوْلُهُ. It could be that. Depends what the rest of it is. As I have been told that kaf is a harf jar, so that qawluhu in li, so that the li in qawluhu will have a kasra. No, so that kaf will no. So the kaf harf jar and dhalika is the majrur. So kaf kadhalika, kaf is the jar, dhalika is the majrur, and then kadhalika is usually muta'alliq to a maf'ul mutlaq. So it's usually something like this: qawlan kadhalika qawlu, qawluhu qawlun kadhalik qawlu. So it all depends what comes before it, what comes after it. Qawluhu would be a separate part, most likely a mubtada or something like that. Okay, almost finished, alhamdulillah. Some people say that Islamic banking still has interest and it's just a change in the wording. Rayan Bank, is this correct? Allah knows best. So all these kind of bank questions, I don't really research. I don't do research in banks. So you'd have to ask someone who's actually working with a bank to be able to tell you. Right, because they have different sort of products in the bank of how they do things and terms and conditions. So it all depends upon what the terms and conditions are. So, if some people say that, just tells you that it's not really certain knowledge. Oh yeah, I found the drama on YouTube, but no English. Yes, mashallah, Ibrahim, feel famous now. Yeah, how can I forget you, man, with that white top? I remember, what was it? Aston Villa, Arsenal. Was it Arsenal top? Jazakallah khair, mashallah, London. Jazakallah khair for your answers tonight. Enjoy your company and need to pray Isha now. Till next time, take care, and you too as well. Alhamdulillah. MP, what good speakers, cartoons, etc. in Arabic on YouTube would you recommend? So there's actually a. All right, so let me tell you now. So number one, so a Sheikh Salih Maghamasi. Yeah, he's very good in Arabic, speaks very slowly, calmly. You can understand him. So his Arabic is easy to follow. And usually talks about like good stuff as well, like, inspirational stuff. Number one. Number two is a Sheikh Hassan, a guy called Sheikh Hassan. He got some old videos, Egyptian, right? And they're kind of good, easy to follow. He's one. Number three, there's this guy, I can't remember his name properly, but this guy, he's locked up now. Saudi's locked him up. But he made a whole series on like in biographies of scholars. So I don't know if you kind of Google it, look for in Arabic, type in Abu Hanifa on YouTube, and his name will come up. He explains, and he does Shafi, there's Maliki, there's Ahmad, and there's Hassan Basri and all these kind of guys. So check him out. It's very, very slow, nice Arabic. So those are some of the speakers. Also, when it comes to like audio, there's lots of audio, excellent audio things as well. So there's an audio Sardiyat. If you go on YouTube and try in Arabic, type in Sardiyat. There's like lots of books that all have been read in audio, as in audio books, like very famous classical Arabic books, and the voice is very good as well. So some men's voices, some women's voices, and you got some Arabic novels. So English books like Les Miserables, is it called Miserables? I don't know, that famous sort of like show, and things like A Tale of Two Cities. It's been translated to Arabic. You can listen to that. So yeah, that's very good. And also there's a new series I've seen, which is the Surah min Hayat al-Sahaba. Someone's actually dictated that in Arabic, so you can listen to that. Very nice to follow, easy to follow. Cartoons, there's like Sinbad. You can look for Sinbad. There's Salahuddin. Yeah, those are very good, like in Arabic. The Arabic's very good. Yeah, those are two. And then if you just if you type in Arabic cartoons, you'll find a lot of them there. I think I should maybe make a list or something. I think, yeah, this is my next project. Okay, Sherry Mufti Sahib, I always do tawbah, but I am breaking my oath again and again. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, Allah is all forgiven. Carry on doing tawbah. What's the best way for a person to purify their heart? Be in the company of good people. Stay in the company of good people. That's the best way. And don't listen to Trump and use Dettol and Domestos to clean your heart. Junaid, Assalamu alaikum. How do you know that a girl is right for you? You don't know. You're only going to find out when you marry her whether she's right or wrong. And if she's right, then alhamdulillah. If she's wrong, then you got to divorce her, or she's going to divorce you. Zainul, watch Kalimullah cartoon in Arabic. Okay, Kalimullah, yeah. Hassan, salam. Is it more important to teach children fiqh or build and strengthen aqeedah and iman? So I would say a mixture. Have a mixture. Why do you have to have one or the other? Have a mixture. Yeah, aqeedah and also basic fiqh. Deen Ali Khan, Sheikh, Jazakallah khair. May Allah give you good health. Ameen, ameen, ameen. Jazakallah khair. Thank you very much. So, yep, Jazakallah khair, guys, for all your support and all your, watching these videos. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless all of you people, wonderful people. Are there where are the Americans? How comes I don't see any Americans here, bhai? Kitabe, guys. Where have you guys all disappeared to? Yeah, so if there's any Americans here, anyone here that's first timer? Is there anyone here that's a first timer that's come here for the first time? Ridwan Hussein, Assalamu alaikum. What advice would you give to someone studying Arabic Fusha so that they can go on to Alimiyya? So I would say is try your best in being able to understand classical Arabic as much as you can. Yeah, because Alimiyya focuses around classical Arabic. So try to read literature to do with classical Arabic, like poetry or even stories of Arabic. Try to do that, inshallah. And then, inshallah, in Alimiyya you'll be okay. So have you started Alimiyya or you're thinking of starting it? Sufyan, Jazakallah khair, mashallah. Click the like button, guys. Listen to Sufyan. A priori, can a woman make masa over their hijab because the condition of masa is only to get the hair wet, and if this is achieved with wiping the scarf, is it okay? So, I mean, what she can do is, if she can't take her scarf off, she can put her hand behind her head. According to opinion of Hanafis, 3 fingers is sufficient. So if you just tap with your hand the space of 3 fingers on your head, even if from the back, that would be sufficient. But wiping of the head, if the scarf is very, very thin, extremely thin, then she can possibly wipe over the head so long as the wetness goes through. But otherwise, no. Yeah, so, what I would suggest is if a woman finds it difficult to she doesn't want to take her hijab off, she can just there's a bit of opening in the hijab. You just wet some fingers and just put those fingers there, at least 3 space of 3 fingers. Naveed, you're from US, yeah? America, yeah. Oh, you're first time here? You're the first time, yeah? Zainul, have you watched Imam Ahmad Hanbal series in Arabic? Yes, I watched half of it. It's not very interesting. I mean, it doesn't seem to be very historically correct, right? It doesn't not 100% historically correct. There's a lot of stuff in there that have been added in that didn't really happen, but it's just because it's like a movie. The directors and producers have to add in extra things that didn't happen, just to kind of entertain people. But it's good. It's good to watch it, to improve your Arabic and some of the things that that did really happen. First time, Ismail Ahmed Ahsan, Ahlan wa Sahlan, Marhaban. Maz Sheikh, is there any online Alimiya course? I don't know, there are some. I mean, As-Sufa Institute is going to start one this year. But check out Seekers Hub is very good. They have, but Alimiya course, I think Darul Ilm I think do one, but I don't know what their level is like. It's a place called Darul Ilm in Birmingham does one, but I don't know what they're like. I know Sheikh Akram Nadawi's place, yeah, Salam Institute, they do one. Who else does one? Yeah, there are those. Mahfuz, me too, alhamdulillah. Mahfuz, may Allah keep you, Mahfuz Hassan. How would you teach Aqidah and strengthen Iman for children? Yeah, so when it comes to teaching children Aqidah, see, kids love stories. So to strengthen their Iman, it's just story after story after story. That's the main thing with kids. Just give them loads of stories. They don't have to be stories in the Quran all the time. They can be stories of things that happened in the past, right, with people. So it's basically like inspiration. You want to inspire kids with stories. So Iman themed, Aqidah themed stories. Ridwan, my dream is to start, inshallah. It's about to finish my first year of Arabic, second year course, Ibrahim College for Arabic Intensive. Excellent, very good. So I'm sure your Arabic is going to be very good. So yeah, I would suggest what you do is focus on your writing and your reading, and focus on like classical sort of literature. Try to focus on, if you can read a bit of poetry. But I know Ibrahim College has, because I've got the whole syllabus for adab. Sheikh Mujahid gave me his whole. I was there a few years ago, and he was kind enough to give me his whole syllabus. So I had that whole kind of thing, and I'm going to get permission from him maybe to deliver some of those online, inshallah. Ismail, me and my friends are sitting here watching together. All the marriage questions were from them. Allahu Akbar. Ismail and Co. Yeah, you guys all need to get married, bro, on a Saturday night. Yeah, if you're married, you're not going to be with your friends on Saturday night. Mahfouz, yeah, Jan, first time for me, popped up on my phone. MashaAllah, alhamdulillah. Zainur, any books you recommend in English, Arabic on the importance of Sunnah which tackle those who reject Hadith? Yeah. So there's a book called Makanat al-Sunnah by Sheikh Mustafa Sabai, very good. There's a book called Hujjiyatul Hadith by Mufti Taqi Usmani. And there's a book called Tadween al-Hadith by a Sheikh Munadir Ahsan Gailani, very good. Nafisa Ghafoor, Assalamu alaikum. What classic literature would you recommend for improving classical Arabic? So what you can read is stuff like Nafhatul Arab. Nafhatul Arab is a good one. Nafhatul Yemen is very good. Al-Mukhtarat, by Sheikh Abul Hasan Nadawi. Qasasun Nabiyyin is very good. All series, even the Sirah part. And Qira'atul Rashida, all Qira'atul Rashida. Al-Malfluti is very good. And then you got like Maqamat al-Badi' al-Zaman is very good. Maqamat al-Hariri is very good. right? These are very good works. Then you got Jahith. Read all the books of Jahith. Excellent. They're all excellent. You can get like audio as well, online as well. Surah ibn Hayat al-Sahaba is very good. So I don't know if I've said too much, but I'm sure later on you can play it back and you can go over them again. Have you got a list of all the scholars you studied under? Would be interesting to get to know the backs. Yeah, I remember most of them. I mean, I don't think I've forgotten their names or any of them. But yeah, I can maybe one day make a video series of my teachers, inshallah. Ridwan Hussein, Jazakallah Khair. It's my first time on this channel. By the way, I'm in love with it. Jazakallah Khair. MashaAllah, Allah bless you as well, Ridwan. Ismail Ahmed, Assalamu alaikum. Jazakallah Khair for your help. May Allah bless you and accept your efforts. Ameen. Ismail, Jazakallah Khair. And you and your friends as well. Friends. Yes, man. Maz Abs, Sheikh, do you have any advanced Arabic courses after completing 17 lessons? Surah Yasin and Mulk. Yes, I do. So basically, I have Ajurumiyya, 25 lessons of Ajurumiyya, which is a Arabic classical text on Arabic grammar. I have a Tarkib course, Tarkib, which focuses on Arab Tarkib, which is advanced. I have, at the moment, I'm working on Sharh Qatr al-Nada. I've reached lesson 20, I think it is, 21, which is a very advanced text. And also on my YouTube channel, you can check out the Tarkib of Surah Qasas that I do, and I do lots of these kind of Tarkibs. You see, it depends what you want in advanced. Do you want to become a specialist in Arabic grammar? If you want to become a specialist in Arabic grammar, then you need to study lots of books, right? And then, that's if you only want to become a specialist and you want to focus on that area. But if you don't want to focus on that area, if you just want to kind of be able to just learn enough Arabic grammar that you can go on to studying something else, like, do you want to use Arabic grammar as a kind of like as a jumping board so that you can reach another science, or do you want to just focus your entire life until death on Arabic grammar itself, on understanding mubtada, khabar, and the history of it and all that? Does that make sense? So when people say to me, I want to study advanced Arabic grammar, I ask them, why do you want to study it for? Like, what's the reason? Is it because people say advanced Arabic grammar and so you feel you have to study this? So I would just keep that in mind. But yeah, I've got those courses. By the time a person finishes Ajurumiyya, 25 lessons, and then does Qatr, that the Arabic is the level of Arabic grammar is very good. Bima Bays, Jazakallah Khair, another, mashallah, Bima Bays, Allahu Akbar. Guys, Bima Bays, may Allah reward you, and Ayan, bless you guys. Check out Bima Bays, guys. Yeah, subscribe to Bima Bays. Check out his stuff. He's got some crazy stuff on his channel. How to motivate oneself to learn Arabic. Right, Umran, this is your question that you want to ask. So what you need to do is, I will tell you what to do. You need to set yourself a target. So for example, like, you need to set yourself a target. What would you like to learn? Would you like to learn what your salat means? Set yourself that target. I want to learn everything in salat in the Arabic language. I want to know what Fatiha means. I don't want to know what tashahhud, at-tahiyatullahi wa salawatu. I want to know all of that. Set yourself that target. Or for example, like, maybe you want to learn Arabic because you want to marry someone. You marry an Arab woman. Maybe you want to learn Arabic because you want to understand, let's say, how to communicate with Arabs. Maybe you want to learn Arabic because you want to be able to, read the Quran, understand it. So have yourself a goal, I would say. If someone has a really bad headache, can they press the area of pain and read Al-Fatiha? Yes, definitely. They can do that. That's totally fine. It's not necessarily something which is part of Islam. Yeah. As in, it's not something we are instructed to do, but it's something which, if you do it and you feel some sort of relief, it's fine. Zainur, can you do a book review? Oh, yes. Book review. So a lot of my books are actually moving to my new house. So I'm going to have to see which ones I've got here. I have to look in a bit. Okay, Umran, I learned that you can recite Al-Fatiha 7 times and then blow on the affected area. Yeah, you can do that as well. That's fine as well. Idris, what's up? I want to do takhassus in Ifta. What do you recommend me to focus on? If you want to become an expert, if you want to really, really benefit from Ifta, what you need to do is you need to have a strong reading of Arabic, of Hanafi fiqh texts. That's the most important thing out of anything. So what I would suggest you do is start like a systematic reading of Mutun. That's the first thing you do, number one. Quduri, go through entire Quduri. go through entire Mukhtasar al-Tahawi, go through entire Wiqaya, Kanz, these mutuns, go through them, and then try to find the difference in their wordings, right? Make a note of those. That's going to take you like many years. Second thing you can do as well is to go through Badaya Sanai. Badaya Sanai is very good, and Bahr Raik. These are two that are very important to go through. And thirdly then is to analyze carefully Fathul Qadir and Ibn Abidin, Radul Muhtar. So if you want to become an expert, it's not about studying books in Ifta. It's all about your own reading. That's what I would say. That's how you become an expert. Maz, Sheikh, to able to study other fields from other Arabic books, inshallah. Yeah, so then I would say you don't need to go too advanced into Arabic. So that's why the courses I've developed that's enough for you to be able to move on to something else, inshallah. Bisk, if a person is having problems with parents and they are trying their best to deal with them, how should they respond? Is it rude to them to just say to them, I don't want to argue, and leave? Yeah, see, it all differs, isn't it, with parents, different types of parents that people have. That might be possible for some people. So if you say it in a polite way, that would be fine. That wouldn't come under disobedience to parents. Muhammad Uthman, inshallah, Sheikh, I'm going to start 17 lessons course tomorrow, inshallah. Pray that I am successful. Ameen. May Allah put barakah in your time. Inshallah, you're going to do well, inshallah, definitely. May Allah bless your efforts and your hard work. And mashallah, with the 17 lessons, we've had so many different types of students doing this. Mashallah, from around the world, from countries around the world. May Allah bless all the students who are working hard to understand Allah's words and to be able to understand the Quran. Jazakallah Musa for answering all our questions. You're welcome. You're welcome, Amina. Umran, may Allah grant you success. Muhammad by Ameen. See, Umran is one of our TAs, guys, yeah? Umran is one of our hard-working TAs in our Roots of Knowledge, Quranic Arabic 17 lessons team. And also Sister Amina as well, mashallah. And we've got some others as well, mashallah, who are very hard-working. So may Allah bless them as well and put barakah in their times and efforts. Jazakallah khair. So Darul Ilm online course, very good, mashallah. Check that out then. May Allah Ta'ala bless you. I think it's almost midnight. We should all let you rest. Jazakallah khair. Bima Bays Productions, in your new house, will you be setting up study and a cool camera setup? Yeah, inshallah. So hopefully I should have a media setup there. And it's going to take a bit of time to set it up because of COVID-19. I can't get all the things that I need. That's the problem. So slowly, because at the moment the prices of things have just shot up. I mean, you guys probably don't know, but before COVID-19, like the price of an average camera, right? Let's say for example a 4K camera, right? That you use a webcam was about £150. Yeah, about £150. Now the same camera is £500 now. So everything that's to do with technology, right, and live streaming and video making and all that stuff, the prices are shot up 3 times, 4 times, 5 times more expensive because I don't understand why. And a lot of the stuff are out of stock now. So like when you buy certain things, you have to like pre-order them now. So you gotta wait for like a certain date, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. Crazy. Jazakallah khair, Muhammad Uthman, Allah bless you. Imran, thoughts on shorter Nadwa model courses of Alamiya? Yeah, definitely, inshallah, there needs to be a revision of the Alamiya course, and hopefully we are, inshallah, As-Sufa Institute is currently in the process of doing this, inshallah. What type of level of understanding Arabic should I reach in order to understand the books of classical scholars? Like, what do you mean classical scholars? Like, what area? That's the thing. So, do you want fiqh? Do you want aqidah? Do you want, like, what do you exactly? Do you want Arabic literature? Yeah, tafsirs. Okay, let me look for a book for you guys now. Let me see. Is there a book here? Okay, so this is a good book. Yeah, so this is a good book. This is called Sharh Uqud Rasul Mufti. So Idris, you were asking about Ifta. So this is a book that they teach in Ifta. This is written by Imam Ibn Abidin. This is one of the approaches in Hanafi, but not the only approach, but this is one of the approaches of how fatwa is given. So it's a very small book, but the book is actually important because it kind of like gives you lots of sort of like insight into how you look at masail and how you differentiate between certain texts and certain sort of like istilahat definitions within the madhab, and how fatwa is sort of like analyzed. Yes, it's a very good book. It's called Sharh Uqud al-Mufti. It's written by Imam Ibn Abidin, who passed away about 300 years ago. Yeah, so this is the book, guys. Yeah, it's a very small book. It's called Sharh Uqud al-Mufti. Alright, so let's carry on then. Probably because what's that? What's happened to probably because have been working from home. Yeah, I think that's the problem. We have them in our city branches of Nadwa, 5-year course, 4-year part-time, 5th year Dora, full-time. Yeah, definitely. Prospects are great. I heard many graduates are accepted into Deoband. Alhamdulillah. Tafsir specifically. Yeah, so if you wait for tafsir, you don't need to, your Arabic level doesn't have to be like very classical. Yeah, you just have to be able to read Fusha. That would be enough. But the thing about tafsir is you need to study from someone. Okay, Idris, Jazakallah khair. May Allah bless you. Ameen, Jazakumullah khair. Okay, so anyway, I think we'll call it a night. Jazakumullah khair. May Allah bless all of you guys. Take care, inshallah. Remember in your du'as. And I will see you guys next time, inshallah. Gonna head to bed, brother. Take care. Yeah, may Allah bless you. May Allah give you shifa. And Ayan is probably asleep by now anyway. So Ayan, if you see this in the morning, take care. And have a good chill at home from school. Alright guys, take care inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.